all of a sudden they go back. They're expected to do something different, I guess, but then they get hampered by how they've always been told to do it. The next continuation to that is, what is the supervisor's responsibility to manage employees? What really is well, I guess there's several facets of it. Making sure their safety is there for sure. Liability, whether it be for more or less their clients, or whether it be liability from safety issues for the crew. Those kind of things are part of the supervisor's responsibility, and to make sure that everybody is up to a certain level. So what do you consider on that, Warren? Do you agree with that, or what do you think the process or liabilities are?
Well, I definitely think the safety is, obviously an important facet of being a leader or manager at any company or organization. Also think establishing an environment that's nurturing in the respect of being able to push those individuals to go further in their skill set in a kind of safe and predictable environment, so that your volunteers or your employees are not stagnant all the time. They don't have anywhere to go after they've been hired or brought on, but there is room to continue to advance their skills, but doing that in such a way that maintains the safety. So I think a lot of times you can put people in a position, I've experienced this personally as an engineer, where you put people in a position where there is no growth, and eventually you just kind of feel a little bit worthless, or you're not really gaining the experience that you sought to get in the first place. And so I think there's a good way to maintain the safety, reduce the liability, but also be able to kind of increase the experience level and threshold of the people within the organization or employees.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Chris?
I agree with Warren. It all falls back on whoever's supervising. I see a lot of leaders write people off. Oh, he doesn't know anything, so let's just get rid of him. It's taking the time to pour into them. Whenever I'm teaching guys that are going to lead others, I said, man, you need to explain to people what you're doing. When you step off the 16 feet, that you're going to get away from the tree and at the right angle, you need to explain why you're doing that, the reason that you're doing it. And then when you make your cuts, explain all of that, because the guy that's just picking up the limbs, he can learn from you, and everybody's just gleaning information, but you got to communicate. You got to start looking at, hey, man, if I could get these 4 guys that are just picking up limbs, if I can take them to the next level and it increases productivity, the whole thing starts to grow. A lot of times I see people in a supervisor role, they want to, I'll do the hard stuff because I'm the supervisor, but that's not a good mindset.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was on mute. I agree. I think being on the same page and investing in folks, learning when to hit the reset button and regroup and try to get everybody on the same page so that they understand the processes and what those fundamentals are is vital. And it's especially in environments where there could be harm to people. You want to ensure that everybody understands where to be, or more importantly, where not to be. And that's just vital. You really need to have a same page mentality, and sometimes you just need to hit the reset button. And I think that needs to happen a lot more often than it does.
Yeah, I think repetition is something we talked about, a checklist or having a 5-step plan in your head or whatever. The repetition that you go through on every tree or every equipment operation or just about everything that you do is so important to have your your checklist, and that's what I consider to be your experience. And one thing that Chris said there is you should be able to explain what you're doing. I've had guys that are supervisors that more or less they think that the best thing to do, I take and I show them, and then I expect them to do it. Showing them and not giving them explanation of why ends up with longer term to be able to get up to a level of experience, and then also they tend to kind of waffle away from it, I guess you'd say. So you have a situation where if you have a set training format, or 5 steps, or whatever you have in your checklist system, if you can get to using that, then it pretty much increases the level faster. And we've seen that over the years quite a lot in different programs. That's where when we started out using competition in the training, is that it helps to be able to get people to focus in on certain things, and then it challenges themselves, as well as everybody's a little bit competitive, to be able to try to reach that expertise level. And so that's an important part of getting a training program to work. And then also reward or awards, or looking for the next level they can go to, is so important. Chris has a system, that he works with colored shirts and hard hats. That when you take and you get people that are interested and they pick up on the program, their participant focus is right on target. Then you start looking at their skills, but then you start rewarding them for the next level, and that's where you start to get that confidence in the workplace. And if you got all your people kind of up to that same level, it makes it easy. If somebody's out, or if you get into a situation with a lot more work, you can multitask people and be able to take and really do a better job at managing and increasing the production for that job. Number one is it's something where I see this a lot in a lot of city, county, and state type of situation. You've got somebody that's been there working for 20 years, another 4 or 5 years from retirement or whatever. Somebody changes position, as far as somebody leaves as far as a supervisor, or maybe they get chosen as a supervisor position. And it seems like instead of them being instructors and trainers for new people or people under them, it ends up that they take and have so much paperwork to do and stuff. The supervisor title is really more or less a bookkeeper, and there's some of that needs to go along with any business that you own or any crew that you supervise. There needs to be some checks and balances, there's no doubt. But bottom line is that the training and getting those people up to that safe and productive work level is really the most important part. And I see guys who, they worked in the field for 20 years. They got ideas about what they think that should, be out there with new employees and that kind of stuff. But they're so tied down with paperwork that they don't have time to be able to get training levels out there. And so, that's something that I've seen quite a lot. And then the other thing is that if you look at the true term of a supervisor, they should be supervising those people that are under them, right? So and that's how kind of OSHA looks at it, or insurance looks at it, as far as a work crew. They expect that supervisor to be on the job and to be keeping up with training and making sure that employee is up to a level that he or she can work safely and productively. And that's really the biggest liability I think I see of supervisors or instructors is making sure that time is taken and the training program is such that people can get up to that level respectively. So knowing that there's training going on in the workplace, and that's where keeping up with the records and those kinds of things is not only the productions that and the job expectancy that needs to be really paid close attention to. It's following up with those training programs, the repetition, and the follow-ups, the revisions, the jobs change, all that kind of stuff that you've got a system set up. And so even if a person has experience in a similar business, is the task, the equipment operation, the workplace or co-worker the same? Probably not, is it? So you start to think about that's a lot to look at from that standpoint. Is the task, the equipment, the workplace, or co-worker the same? And in this case, is there still a time or need for training? And I think that's what all of you are saying is there's a follow-up that has to take place. You have to keep updating and upgrading because the tasks change, the equipment changes, the sites change, and all of that kind of goes together. So that's kind of what I had up, and kind of ending up with some thoughts as far as participants' focus. And I think that those thoughts kind of keep training and workshops at the top of the hill that people will enjoy and work with it. But I've seen quite a lot over the years where employees are frustrated, either new on the job and they're not up to a level yet, and it's frustrating on them. It's dangerous also in some cases. And then on the other hand, it's the supervisor's expectations of getting them up to that position takes time, and that's where you have to have a systematic approach to it. You can't just think that it's going to happen by showing somebody. You gotta have the whole realm of actions covered there. Questions, comments? People still watch, and we touch quite a lot of people with it. So I think that's the key to these things. So try to keep them up. But a little bit about running. I ran a little bit earlier the video on the December session. Chris, you've got I think one person already signed up, and that's for December the 12th through the 14th up in Danville, Virginia.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good class. It's good, be good cool weather up here.
So start cooling down a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's been nice, man. It's 50 when I walked out of the house this morning. That's a nice change.
Oh man, so you didn't even sweat today, huh?
Nah, it was a good day to run a chainsaw.
Yeah, we've got it set up. You've got breakfast and lunches, and you've got some lodging available. Yeah. So people that are interested, it's $750 per seat, and that's for a 3-day program. It's what I've called over the time storm sawing workshop, but it's a good basic program, as well as a lot of looking at maintenance, reduced downtime, sharpening, also planning, looking at 5-step process, looking at bucking, limbing, pressures and binds, and also a little bit about how to explain everything. So that's one thing about our programs is they are put in a trainer format so that people can learn from them, as well as have all their questions answered, so you can be able to communicate it to others, because that's really the key. So that's some things to think about there. Well, gentlemen, if there's nothing else, we will do it again next Thursday night if y'all are able. So if you're not out and about too far. So I appreciate y'all dropping in. Any other topics or anything that you want to see or heard this week or anything?
I get a lot of saw questions. So in this training coming up, I'm going to have battery saws, the Husqvarna saws, steel battery saws, and several gas saws. So we'll get to play with all those toys as well.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of people haven't used the batteries and different size saws, so it's always good to give them the experience there. Well, all right, folks. I appreciate your time tonight, and we will see you next Thursday night. And I want to say to everybody, good sawing. Want a good, safe week out there. We'll see you next Thursday. Good night.